there, Griff Hamlin here. Welcome, and thanks for joining me today. Today's lesson, going back to the blues, kind of more old school. This is a particular, I like to call it a move, not really a lick, and I'll show you why here in just a minute. But this is one of those moves that you just, if you play box one, you solo in the blues scale, you're using that, old traditional box one pattern, you have to know this move. It shows up in so many different solos, so many different licks. Even though it's not a lick in and of itself, I'm going to show you how we'll attach it to a couple of different things, but it's going to show up in so many different licks that you're going to learn. It's also got a little bit of a tricky technique. It's the kind of thing that I see a lot of my students struggle with. Even my students, for example, that have been through, say, the Blues Guitar Unleashed course where they've learned how to do this and they've used it in a bunch of different solos, it's still sometimes, it's just a little tricky and needs a little extra practice. So today, that's what we're going to do. Let's check it out. Now, the move itself, if you look at the very beginning of what I have written, okay, the move itself is this, those first three notes. So if you think about the A minor blues scale, box one, or pentatonic, they're what I call functionally equivalent, meaning you can use one instead of the other at any time and it's always fine. So we're going to take the upper note on the third string. What do I mean by that? Every string has two notes. A lower note, right, which is lower on the fretboard, and an upper note, which is higher on the fretboard. We always speak in terms of pitch. So the first thing that I've got to do is I'm going to take that and I'm going to bend it up. So I'm going to take that 7th fret on the 3rd string in this case, which is a D, and I'm going to bend it up to an E, which happens to be the very next note I'm playing. It's also the very next note in the scale. We've talked about this before, but always when you bend to a note in the scale. It's very important. So I'm going to go up like that. Now, one of the things that causes issues is letting go of that to get to this, using my first finger, 5th fret on the 2nd string. You don't want to just let go and hit other stuff. That's not good. We don't want that. My picking hand is going to handle that. Right now, I'm just about to strike that 5th fret on the 2nd string. And my palm, and especially the back of my thumb, okay, is on the strings that I just let go of. So when I strike it, there's no issue. So my left hand can't possibly mute this. There's too much going on. So my picking hand is doing it. Okay, so now I've got that note. And now all I have to do, notice that, I'll say when you're a total beginner, we always say, use at the very tip of your finger and all this kind of stuff. Notice that I'm not so much using the very, very tip of my finger. It's leaned back just a little bit. The reason is because I'm going to simply roll it to get the top string. Now, you might think, why don't I just bar? Because we don't want the sound of both. They're supposed to be separate. Now, there is a time and a place when we will want both of those, but this is not that time or place. So I want you to be able to do either. I want you to have control and be able to play it the way you want to hear it. So notice that I have the bend. Of course, I mute everything out. Strike that note. Then I bend my finger back a little bit and strike that note. Okay, so the first thing you want to get the hang of is that. Because that's the basic technique. And it's the basic move. Okay, now in the first lick, this is a very, very common blues idea where once I strike that A on the 5th fret of the 1st string, I slide up to the A at the 10th fret of the 2nd string. That's just a really cool sound. It's a really common sound. So that's what I did. On the second lick, which is the second 2 bars on your screen right now, you'll notice that first of all, I'm doing the move itself 3 times. And then I added a kind of a walk down through the minor blues scale or minor pentatonic scale. So the G at the 8th fret, E on the 5th fret, bend that D up to E, but in this case I'm going to release it. Then the C, A, and end with the C at the 5th fret of the 3rd string. Now what's really important is that all of these are all 8th notes. So it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. And what trips a lot of people up is on that descending run, they won't get that in time. It won't be 1 and notice that if I stop here, it's still held. It's not until I get to 2 that I let go. And 3. 1 and 2 and 3. And of course you can pull off. I can pull off to that C. I can do the pull off from the G to the E as well. And if I was going really fast, then I might do that. But in this case, I'm playing it slowly, so I'll pick it all. Okay, either way is fine. Now, what I've done is I've basically taken those 2 ideas and just kind of finished out the 12-bar blues. So in the 3rd lick, it's the same idea, I just did the move twice. Now I'm going to repeat in the, I'll say 4th lick. Again, same as we've done before. Mix it up one more time. And one more time. And one of the reasons that I've done this is really just to, give you practice, right? This is probably not a solo that you're going to run out and play, and I get that. However, you absolutely could. And notice that you could do it with 1 move and basically 2 possible endings, right? So I kind of wanted to show you that you can take these small bits and pieces and you can turn them into something more substantial. Repeat some things, change out the end of something, add a little extra to the beginning, whatever it might be. There's a lot of ways you can take a simple idea and extrapolate it to play an entire chorus of a blues with it. So what I would do now is I would want to play this nice and slow. And that would mean I'm going to play into my looper a nice, slow 12-bar blues. Now, of course, you could probably find a jam track, but I'll just do it myself. So I'm just going to go 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. This has a quick change, though you don't have to do a quick change. And I could do this in open position, if you prefer. Onto the 4 chord. I'm going to go back to the closed position. I like the control that I have when I play in a closed position. Almost there. Now that we have it into the looper, all we have to do is play along nice and slow. Try it with me. Now, because we have a little bit of a pickup, I'm actually going to start before I start the looper. I'm going to go 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4. And of course, I could go around again, but I think you get the idea. It's fairly straightforward. When it gets comfortable at that speed, try it a little bit faster. Let's give it a whirl. All right, starting from the 5, 4, a 1, 2, a 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3. So as you can see, it's pretty much all up to you. It's just whatever speed you want to play it into your looper. Now, my suggestion is not to immediately go super slow and just leave it there, okay? Yes, you're going to have to go super slow the first, I don't know, maybe a couple of dozen times you play it. You have to keep things slow. You want to try to not make mistakes, okay? The first bunch of times you play something, you always want to try to do it accurately, precisely, and not make those mistakes. However, once you get this, I'll say memorized or pretty close to it, you want to start trying to play it at a variety of tempos, not necessarily any specific one. So let's say that you first play it into your looper at 60 beats a minute. Okay, and let's say that after a little while, you've played it a couple dozen times, you basically got it memorized. Maybe you're playing it at about 70 beats a minute. Well, my suggestion is to then play it at 100, and you're probably going to mess it up, and that's okay. But then play it at 80, and then play it at 120, and then play it at 90, and then play it at 100 again, and then play it at 70 again, and then play it at 130, and really bounce around at a whole bunch of different tempos, okay? Now, of course, there's a lot of different tools and stuff that might help you with that. Perhaps your looper is one of those ones that allows you to adjust the speed on it. Mine does not. Doesn't matter, okay? The point is, the main thing is you want to really lock into the beat, lock into the tempo. And by getting comfortable at many different tempos, nothing will trip you up. And that's what we want, because eventually, hopefully, someday, you'll be playing at a jam, and who knows how fast they're going to go. There's no telling. There's no telling, right? So just because you practiced, Sweet Home Chicago at 120 beats a minute doesn't mean that when you show up to a jam that it's going to happen at 120 beats a minute. In fact, I would bet money that it is not. It's going to be closer to 140 because that's the way jams go. It'll start at 110 and it'll end at 140. That's just kind of how things go. Adrenaline gets going, people get excited, people start having fun, music gets faster. That's just kind of how things work. So I say this because it's, again, something that I see a lot of my students trip up on. So I hope you have some fun with this. Take some time with it. Work with it, play it into your looper, play along with it. It's not a difficult idea. You don't have to play it exactly the same way that I did either, okay? You can follow along, obviously, with the tab in the video, but at the end of the day, if I played it 3 times and started on beat 1 and you played it 2 times starting on beat 2, at one spot, it doesn't change the overall message of the solo. So don't worry about it. It's totally fine, okay? Just kind of do your thing, but get that move in there, get it under your fingers, get it comfortable, because you're going to use it a lot, and you're going to use it at all different speeds, okay? So, as always, I'm Griff Hamlin from Blues Guitar Unleashed. If you have a guitar playing friend you think would dig this video, I hope you will share it with them. I will leave links near this video. You can check out my All Access Pass for just $1. You can always check out the Blues Guitar Unleashed course or the family of courses that I have by following links over to my website, bluesguitarunleashed.com. And I will talk to you real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.